ahead and reintroduce yourself to our audience and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm the Monarch of Fire. I have 10 years of firefighting and law enforcement background. I am currently a diesel mechanic, and I am an up-and-coming podcaster and influencer.
Awesome. Yeah, we're super excited to be hearing this Talking with the Monarch, and definitely want to give anybody a shout out for definitely already buying your merch, because it's already available we'll leave the link in the description. So our first question for you is, as an autistic parent, what would you tell a parent that's struggling with their kid?
Honestly, what my honest answer to give everybody would be, learn to take more time with your child, be more understanding of their feelings, but also don't give in to their de-coping mechanisms. Every autistic kid will never be the same, but you also can't give in to the negative activity that they like to give, or as I like to call it, junk behavior. It's something very bad to give into, because that leaves the door open for more heinous and more violent tendencies. I've got about 8 years working with disabled adults with developmental disabilities, and one thing that they all have in common is if you give into their junk behavior, it can typically lead to more junk, and it can become more violent over time. It could go away, but the initial door is there, and when you open it, it's very hard to close. So taking more time to understand the level of autism that your child may be dealing with would be probably the biggest thing I could speak on. Coming from me, I myself have dealt with autism all my life, and what I appreciated more was when my parents would talk to me about things rather than get in my face about it, because I didn't respond to violent talking or nonverbal. The violence is what caused me to become more angry and more bitter. And so when they talked to me, I was a little bit more calm about the situation.
Okay, and I know a lot of autistic people, they get overstimulated by certain things, and I think everyone is a little different what overstimulates them. But what do you do to cope with, being overstimulated in any situation?
Coping with overstimulation, it's very hard to describe. Every autistic person's going to be different, whether they're introverted or extroverted, because you have some autistic people that are very social, and then others who are not very social. And so the way that they cope with things is going to be very different from one person to the next. Something that's always helped me was I got involved in very physical activities. Like I boxed and did MMA for a while. I played lots of sports through school. I always loved to do stuff in the community with church. My favorite go-to is one of my passions and my hobbies, which is working on cars and trucks, semis. Even though I would get overstimulated and angry in the process of working, I know in my mind it's my safe zone. I didn't have to worry about someone breathing down my throat. I could just be at peace and do what I do best. And at the end of the day, I know that I made a difference in someone's life by getting them something fixed. So I get more gratification and calmness out of doing something I love to do. So find something that you love to do to find that safe place.
That's really good advice, because I know whenever I let my son be in his element and his outlet, which is drawing and writing, he definitely has a better day or a better month. But if he doesn't take that time to draw his little Kevins, yeah, he doesn't have a great day. So it's definitely great advice. So the last question is, if life was a lesson, what would you say it's been teaching you using one word? a little tricky. A lot of people kind of take a little bit of time to just kind of think, and if it's more than one word, that's okay, or a phrase.
Life has taught me how to be patient, because this world, as we all know, it's crumbling down. There's a lot of negative activity, a lot of violence, a lot of so-called gang power. It's a shame that our autistic children have to grow up in this life with it being the way that it is, because nobody should have to grow up being afraid of everyone and everything. And being autistic, you're always afraid. There's something that always scares you. There's always something in the closet, always a monster in the closet, so to speak. There's always something around the corner. Some of us are very anxious. Some of us get overstimulated. Some of us get very angry. But it all revolves around patience. If you teach your autistic child to be more patient, they become more sociable. They become more extroverted. I believe that everybody should be more extroverted, because being antisocial can lead to further development problems for your child. And with that can come hostility. And that becomes harder for you to learn how to teach your children anything, because they won't know what to think, because they're going to be very confused. So you have to give a lot of patience. And without that, the walls that you have built to help raise them start to break. What I like to tell people, God's a very avid part in my life, and I like to live by one specific Bible verse, and that's Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through God who gives me strength. As a parent, that should stand out and speak to you, because God gives you the strength and the knowledge to know how to care for your child or your children. But you have to have that patience to take care of them.
Yeah, that's amazing advice. I know here recently, even since it is Autism Awareness Month, we've been doing a lot of content about autism, but it also is Women of Color Month, so definitely wanted to shout out all the women. I know you have sisters who are women of color. So
I do. I have 3 sisters that are full Latinas or Hispanic. Very appreciative of them. They have a lot of my upbringing. They've been in my life for almost 20 years.
Yeah, that's awesome. So definitely shout out to all the women of color. And any last remarks or anything, any shout outs you want to give, anybody that really helped you in your personal walk with, dealing with everything that you've had to deal with in your life?
I'd like to give a shout out for our group, Learning Idiom. I would like to recommend them to anybody. I would love to shout out to Authors Are Us, Help Zeladon Help. They have been a very avid influence in my movement. Be sure to start catching my new channel, Talking with the Monarch. You can catch me on YouTube and TikTok as the Monarch of Fire. We'll be starting out maybe a couple of times a month, just to get the podcast off the ground. We will be doing video and audio podcast. Also, we will have translations for Spanish.
Oh, sí, porque hablas español, ¿verdad?
Thanks to Authors Are Us and Learning Idiom, we are changing lives one day at a time. You need to check them out. They have been my biggest sponsor through to start my journey, and they will continue to be my biggest sponsor throughout the rest of time, honestly. with them, they've moved mountains, and they continue to move mountains.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe. We're very appreciative of everyone that already has subscribed and anybody who has donated recently to the tornado relief. So we're definitely appreciative of every single one of you guys that views our content, likes it, and shares it with anybody that you see value that would find this information super helpful. And so once again, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for being an essential member and a part of our bilingual community. So definitely appreciate every single one of you guys. And for the next couple of events that we're gonna have, we're gonna be reading to children in the public library, and I'll be leaving all that information. Or just if you haven't subscribed to our newsletters and our email list, definitely let us know, and we can definitely add you. We're always sending updated, what we're gonna do, all of our updated episodes and events that we have. So again, thank you so much for being part of this episode, and you're listening to Moving Mountains for You. I'm your host, Ice Las Selvin, aka Sachi Ice Queen, and take care, God bless, and peace be with you.